This is Susan Wilbanks with blendedinsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic.
Hello, bright soul. Thank you so much for joining me on another podcast. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for showing up. And for those of you who have chosen to join our High Vibe Lightworker tribe over on Patreon, if you want to learn more, the link is in the show notes. Also, if you're interested in breath work, the link is also in the show notes. And I'm going to move right into the topic for today. You see how I've gotten better about speaking about minor details of my life? Not that I'm not going to go back to it, but I'm going to go back into the topic for today. And that is this, I don't know, it's like a trend that's going on right now. And I think Mel Robbins initiated it, where it's the whole let them theory. So the bottom line is it's just talking about the art of detachment. That's really all it is. It's nothing new. It's just a trendy way of coining the fact that people's behavior is about them. It's not about you. And instead of taking it so personally, realizing that we all view the world through our own lenses. So some people can view an event and spin it in a positive way. Other people can view the same event and spew it in a negative way. It depends on what's going on with you. It's your own lens. And those of us who have been on this path for a while and your sensitivity has increased, which just means your awareness has increased. You could be empathic, you could be sensitive. And when you're not like the herd, the normal, regular, everyday waking consciousness of people, because you and I are not the regular. We're for the few, not for the many. Most people don't choose this path. And when you are on this path and you are a cycle breaker, you're the one out front, you're the one that's paving a new path, people often will not understand you. And because of that, we can get into an isolated feeling state where we feel victimized or feel sorry for ourselves or wish that we never stepped on this path of consciousness. But it's too late, because once you know something, you can't pretend you don't know. And for that reason, there is a pattern of trying to chase acceptance from people who have never even met themselves. They can't possibly meet you. They haven't met themselves. And your light shines this bright beam on areas of their own life that they're unwilling to look at. And you're not doing anything wrong. It's just that we're not in the same place. And they could be viewing what you're doing as fearful. So here's something really interesting. Lately, actually, it's been happening a lot. So I try to connect with people that are spiritual, because I feel like that's a really good foundation for us to bounce off of. If you don't have a spiritual connection or a spiritual practice, then I don't think that we could probably build anything very deep, because I live in this world. This is my purpose. And specifically, I'm talking about dating. So I wanted to share this with you. It's humorous. And if you've worked with me privately or you're in my inner circle, we've talked about this. So I will meet men who say that they're Christian, and they're bothered by me saying that I'm spiritual. However, they're just saying they're Christian. I was once in a church with a pastor that would say, I can stand in the garage. It doesn't make me a car. Whereas I can say I'm a Christian, but I have no practice in my spiritual. And what's so funny about it is because I can look at their spiritual cord, and I'm not doing it from a judgmental place. I actually have to look at the energy centers of a person that I could possibly partner with to see if I'm going to give them a continual healing crisis and we're going to clash down the road. Because it's always good in the beginning. It's always good in the beginning because everyone's on their best behavior. You don't really meet the real person until, a month or two down the line. For me, it's 2 weeks. I'm at 2 weeks right now. Anyway, so they'll say, well, I'm an air quote Christian, and you're spiritual, so that bothers me. And I'll say, okay, well, tell me about your Christianity. How do you express that? And they'll say one or two things. I go to church every Sunday. That's one thing. But then I'm drinking and drugging and, all the other things. So they're not living the teachings, but they go to that chapel on every Sunday, and that makes them a Christian, and that makes them feel like what I do is a threat. And that's okay. I get it, because I was in the Christian tradition at once, and I know how they teach that Jesus is the only way. Jesus was the only ascended master that ever came to the planet. If you don't accept Jesus, then there is no other way. I know and understand. I have compassion for it because I understand. But that is a religion, not a relationship. There's a difference. So, or I'll get the ones that say, well, I'm a Christian and God is the only way. They don't go to church. They don't practice it. They're not doing anything related to that tradition other than saying, giving themselves the label that I'm a Christian. And so when I explain, well, here's the thing. I love Christianity. I love Jesus. I have a relationship with Jesus. I know the Bible. I've studied the Bible. I once considered myself a Christian. And one of my closest friends is a Christian minister. And we talk about this a lot. I have very similar gifts as he does. And we live the same world. We just label it differently. That's it. It's just a label. However, I know that it's not Christianity is not the only way because I've studied world religions. Have you ever taken a world religion course? I have. I studied it in depth, and we went through each and every religion, and they're the same. They are the same, people. There is a little bit of spin-offs of different, but the golden thread is there. So, because of that, and because I'm in pranic healing, where we study the inner teachings of all religions, and they're all the same, it's the same language. It was just one ascended master came to a certain area or region of the land to speak to that specific evolution of that specific um, part of humanity at that time, because that's what would give them a path to their soul. Really, that's all it is. But we overcomplicate it and we get our ego involved, and I get it. So what will happen is, because I say I don't want to be labeled as a Christian, I don't want to be boxed into one religion. I'm happy to go to church with you. I would love to go to church with you. But I'm not only going to go to that church, I'm going to go to a Buddhist temple. There's a church here called Mile High Church, which is Church of Religious Science, which is what Louise Hay was a minister of, and they embrace all traditions. So I'm saying that church or that organization is more in alignment with my beliefs. But I'm okay to go visit your belief. But when it's reversed, oh no, they can't do it because it doesn't fall within the confines of their mind and their religion. And I respect that. So they'll say, oh no, I can't date someone that does energy healing. That's no, because it's not in alignment. And it actually is in alignment, because energy healing doesn't have a religious label to it. It's not a religion. It's a spiritual practice that applies to everything. It isn't boxed in, but they don't, there's a limited understanding, and their lens has clouded it in a way that isn't my reality, but it's their reality. So when they say this and we have these conversations, you know me, I can't help myself. I'll go look at their spiritual cord and it'll be this tiny little strand of dental floss. And of course, mine is, quadruple and beyond the size of that because of the work that I've done. But I wasn't always here. And I have compassion for it. And so I don't get offended. My point is, I don't get offended because this is where they are in their path. It wasn't going to work anyway. Even if they said, oh, I'm open to your spirituality, looking at the spiritual cord and the other chakras, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work, because being around me is going to cause that to expand. And based on your limited understanding of the text and spirituality, I'm so far ahead of you, it's just no way. You won't be able to catch up. So I said all that to say, I don't get offended by it. In fact, every time it happens, I just want to bust out laughing. I actually do bust out laughing, not to them because we're usually messaging and not speaking on the phone, but to myself. It's hilarious. So I've been talking to my friend who's a minister. We talk about it a lot, and he's just like, oh my gosh. But that's a lot of the world right now. And I have my own lens. People can try to explain something to me, and I have a certain view of it, and I can be stubborn, and I'm not going to change it. Again, that's about me. It's not about someone else. So you've got to realize, first of all, when you're feeling yourself getting activated or emotional or overly attached, usually the attachment is out of fear. And when you start getting that clingy energy, it's fear. It's fear of loss. There's the underlying root is typically fear, but what you can do is breathe into it, sit with yourself, and figure out what is the root. And it goes back to mindfulness, breathing, and knowing we really need very little. We may want certain things, but we really need very little. And you've always gotten through all of these challenges before. Every single person or thing that has left your life, you're still here and you've survived and you've learned from it. So you have the benefit of experience showing you that you're always going to be okay. Not saying you don't get bruised up a little bit, because that's part of life. It's the peaks and valleys. We all have it. But it's reminding yourself that I need to observe this. Impermanence is part of life. So let me enjoy this very moment, this very breath. Let me take in all the experiences, be so grateful for them, because I know life can change, and it can change for the positive or it can change for what I perceive to be the negative, but it's always the soul's evolution. It is always for a higher plan. It's always for a higher purpose. No matter what like negative outcome or what I perceive to be a negative outcome or the label that I want to attach to it, it's all perfect in the end. And then focusing on your own soul development, because remember, you are the soul, you are not the body. This body and this experience on earth is very temporary. The lessons you learn here go with the soul, even when the body perishes. Everything you learned here goes with you. So the focus is on generating good karma, creating as little negative karma as possible, connections, learning, growing, developing, evolving, serving, living out your purpose, and then knowing that there is a divine plan and things are working out for your highest good. And when you notice yourself getting clingy, because it happens to all of us, where you notice that fear, it's an invitation to look in within and say, okay, what's here for me now? How can I release this? What's the root of this? And let me work on that. And so really that's all I wanted to share, and we can go into a healing. Okay, and so it is. You can come back into your body. And friends, I hope this helped. Remember, we're all in this together. I get it. We're all going through it. And the important thing and what I'm so grateful for is that we're here together. And I'm here to support you. You can always check on my website. Private sessions are available. The way that I book my private sessions and conduct the private sessions are all detailed in the description on my website. Sometimes I get questions about that. And if you click on each section, I book in half-hour and 1-hour increments. And also my High Vibe Lightworker Tribe over on Patreon is available. And you can learn about the Pause Breathwork app. I do breathwork every day. I've been doing it for well over a decade. And it has been a super, super beneficial tool on my path. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to share those things with you to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you too. And as always, gosh, I thank you so much. And I want to wish you a beautiful week. Take care. Bye-bye.